Welcome to Paradelphia Radio. We are back. It has been a minute.
A minute.
It has been a minute.
A couple minutes.
So I'm here in the Toxic Studios once again with our fearless co-host,
Of
Mr.
course.
Doug Hogate.
Fearless.
And
Good way to intro the topic tonight, too.
And our fearless tech /owner, Mr. Toxic Mike. There he is.
For now.
There he
Until,
is.
I buy him out.
There he is. So yeah, it's been a while here. We haven't done a show since, I think I looked it up earlier today. I think it was August 11th or 12th.
Oh, is it really been that? I thought it was.
It's been a while.
I was going to say, I thought it was only like 3 weeks because I know.
No.
I don't know. Wow.
Time
It goes
flies.
to show you, I must be missing that gap. Time like missing it,
So so it's been a little bit of a lot of things. I mentioned earlier somewhere across the summer or over the summer that I'm back in chemo.
Right.
So that's part of it because it's every 2 weeks.
Sure.
And the show's on Thursday. I go in on Wednesdays. So by Thursday I'm still in my feeling like dog shit.
And it's understandable, obviously.
Phase.
And in fact, as we talked about last week, I was planning on I wanted to come in to do a show, figuring that way, we could kind of keep things going. But, long story short, a vehicle that I started financing a year ago, the engine blew. A year. So luckily today I, got something new. I mean, it's a little car, but it was kind of what I could manage right now with.
You might have an attachment that has to do with vehicles or mechanics.
It's
because I've never seen someone with as horrible a luck with cars as you. Literally my entire life.
I mean, and it's nuts because for a little bit there, it was having bad luck. But then again, a year ago, Mellie was able to get a new vehicle. I was able to get one. So it's like, yes, this nightmare is over. And it was great. I mean, then a month ago, or maybe a little over a month now, my starter went on the old vehicle. Yeah. So, I get it fixed. Then, like I said, like 2 weeks ago, I'm driving and all of a sudden it seizes up. Took it to the mechanic, and they said, yeah, your engine's done. And I'm just like, you got to be kidding me. So I had to do an emergency car buy. But, again, I mean, I was unprepared, obviously. I wasn't expecting to buy a new car. But, again, it's like, it's a little car, but it's 40 miles to the gallon, and it's 2021. So
nice.
I'll take it. We're not in them teenage days where we're like, as long as it get me A to B and it's reliable, I don't care.
It's a reworked Ford Pinto.
It's a Mitsubishi Mirage. So it's Mitsubishi. Never owned a Mitsubishi before.
So we're gonna get to our topic du jour here in a few minutes, and what I figured we would do today, since it's been a little while since we've been on air, and it has gone slowly from the heat of summer into the coolness of fall.
And the past 2 days, it's been windy.
And windy fall.
Like crazy windy.
And we are fast approaching the spooky season already.
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
We're already leading into that, which is crazy in my mind.
Right.
Like it was just 900 degrees in the middle of July 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know if you're in your neighborhood or you've seen it around, but I've seen and past some houses that people have decorated already for Halloween, getting an early start on it.
So what we're going to talk about tonight is going to be kind of like a little round table. I have some information that I pulled off the webs and whatnot, but I just want this to kind of be almost like a freewheeling thing. We'll have people listening. Feel free to join the chat room and put your 2 cents in. But we're going to talk about things that actually scare us.
Yeah.
And I don't mean it can be movies or things like that. It can be. But I mean, and I'm not necessarily relating this just to Halloween, but it could be anything. But it's that idea, the Halloween idea is obviously to scare, people and have that thrill of a moment.
Right, it kind of gets you. It's that one time a year that you kind of open yourself up to expose yourself to the things you fear the most.
Right. So I got a couple things. Well, a few things before we get started with that. I want to start off with. I mean, it could sort of be a related topic. It may relate to this topic of things that scare you. But it's like I said, it's been a while since I've been on air, and some shit has gone on. Some shit has gone on behind the scenes.
It's because
in this studio.
Right, it's because...
I mean, maybe in the studio, maybe not in the studio. Right, I don't know. Mike, put yourself on air, brother.
I was going to say, it's because, anytime you take that time off, you can't report it. That's why it happens.
So Mr. Mike...
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about now.
This has been brought up on other shows.
Wait, let me bring everybody on camera. So
this has been brought up on other shows.
Gets their little piece of the pie.
But I want to make sure that we do our little acknowledgement here on Paradelphia. Mr. Mike,
of course,
a little piece of the pie, no pun intended,
and his lovely girlfriend Laura are expecting.
Yes, I couldn't. Mellie flipped her lid when I told her that. I think I was at work actually as soon as I read it, and I called her, and she's like, "Ah!" You're like, "Yeah." Like, oh my god.
So
that is a thing.
So how did this happen?
You know what? The unthinkable has happened.
I want minute by minute details.
For anybody who would like to say that'll never happen, bite your tongue.
I'll tell you.
For anybody who doesn't believe, we can all be a believer now.
Hey,
a believer.
I'm a believer.
I will say, I mean, seeing it on social media, you've kind of already, looks like, stepped in those, went into those steps of, kind of I don't want to say pre-fatherhood, I don't know what the word, but, you've been an influence on, obviously. So it's like you've prepared yourself.
You're like a father figure to Doug.
There you go. Yeah,
you're Doug's daddy.
You can call me daddy.
All right, daddy.
By the way,
we're putting that out there like that.
Gene, you didn't see that one, did you? Anyway, so
Gene didn't see that one coming.
Yeah, right. She should have called us up at work. Mike, you're going to get some news. Yeah.
Nobody saw this one coming.
Yeah.
There was one female who saw it coming.
But gotcha. Nice.
Yes, I am making more humans.
Wow.
I figured it's my duty to make more humans. So I decided, you know what? I've tackled podcasting. I've tackled radio.
Why not bring a life into it?
I would like to tackle making human.
It's funny because I think Mellie actually put a comment on your thing, like, going back to the whole, we talk about it before, Mike and the alien encounter. So is this going to be like a hybrid? Interesting.
Who knows?
Maybe we need a DNA test, Mike.
I'm telling you.
I mean, maybe they came through me and then never mind.
I was going to say, do you have something to tell us more about
Gene in the chat room. Time for a reading now.
Yeah.
is now the time?
Now,
now is the time.
Now Gene wants to do a reading.
Now is the time.
I know.
Let's get down to brass
I was going to
tacks.
say, hasn't she been trying to do a reading on you for like years now?
I know, but now it's now it's pertinent. Now it's real.
Right.
Now we have to do this. But yes, no, thank you guys.
Yeah, it's
I appreciate
awesome, man.
it.
Yeah, definitely.
I have, Doug is correct. I have had a little bit of practice so far. My girlfriend has an amazing little boy. He's 3 years old, and living with her for the past, oh my God, it's been 8 months, 9 months, almost a year, and helping raise the little guy has shown me
it changes your life.
that
it really does.
shows me that I have the ability to parent.
Right.
It took me till I was 41.
Now it happens.
Until I was 41, I was like Peter Pan, never growing up.
Yeah, right now.
But yeah, so it's given me a little bit more confidence.
Yeah.
And I can't wait. It's still surreal. It's still not real.
Right.
It's still not hitting me, and every little milestone it hits me a little bit more. But we'll see how it goes.
And I know, and again, like personally on me, I know exactly what you mean, because I know that when I first started dating, my kid's mom, my oldest, I adopted him, but he was 6 months old at the time. And I went from, having my own place, not having kids, to like suddenly almost overnight becoming this father figure type. And then, I mean, it's one of those things. It's a scary yet great type situation, you're but again, you worry about, like, please just don't screw up like I've done, or I don't want to lead you to the screw ups that I've done, kind of thing.
I'm looking at this like I'm just hoping they grow up to be exactly like me.
Well, there you go.
I am badass.
Hey, at least you have
I
that
am
confidence.
an awesome mother effer.
Until your kid gets older and says, "Dad, I don't want to be anything like you."
I want my kids to grow up to be just like me.
This kid will be shooting Rumpelmints in preschool.
That's my boy. Or girl.
Or girl. You never know.
You never know. I mean, that would be the universe's real kind of rub on me. It's like, here's a little girl.
It's like,
have fun with being annoyed by any guy that looks at her as she gets older.
Oh yeah,
another Mike or a Michelle.
So it's. I mean, we're gonna have to get a playroom here in the studio.
Hey,
that's all right.
Yeah.
she can come in and hang out in Paradelphia's show.
Maybe after he or she is first born, we can interview to say, do you remember anything like, pre-birth? Like, that all falls into paranormal. We wonder, do we still remember? So we need that interview. So, Mike, I'm asking you now.
We'll work on something.
We'll work on it. But thank you guys. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Definitely.
So the second thing I want to touch on here is something not as happy of an occasion. But I'm going to let Doug talk about this for the most part. But I do want to send out our love to one of our own, Miss Mellie.
Yeah.
Mellie, she has been having a rough time of it lately. Has some physical issues going down. I did not know until recently how bad it actually was.
Right.
But we send you our love, and Doug's going to talk a little bit about something he's trying to do about this.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's, and the reason why is because she's never really been one to put out there so much. I mean, for years, even like back before I knew her, she's always had some severe back problems and everything, and they actually told her years ago that if she'd end up being in a wheelchair by the time she was 40 if she didn't get it fixed. And it's one of those things where she's always been afraid of surgery. Well, now it's gotten to the point where when I tell you she can't stand up straight, she's literally, when she walks, it's like if you could picture like a 90-year-old woman, because she can't. I mean, when we go out for places where she has to be on her feet for a long time, she has to now be in a wheelchair. I mean, but she still she was working at a place for 16 years. Long story short, even after all the work she's done, they said that they they thought that her not being able to be on her feet and all that, she basically, they let her go after 16 years, losing her insurance. Mm-hmm. She does have a good job now, but it's part-time, and unfortunately doesn't offer health insurance because of that. So her current doctor's going out of practice, so she desperately now needs surgery. So with that being said, I do have a GoFundMe I started for anybody willing to, help out. Right now it's, to get into the surgeon to kind of have like that preliminary appointment to kind of discuss everything, and then we go from there. So, what I'll do is before the end of the show, I'll post it. Yeah, there we go.
We'll post it in the show notes.
And, like I said, I know everybody has things going on.
For anybody watching the video feed, it's on the screen now.
Yeah. So, if again, it's one of those things. I know, obviously, nowadays, financially, everyone's got struggle, but hey, if anyone's even a dollar, just trying to get her in so she can get some surgery, and it'll be a good chance that she'll be able to fix it. So
that was my question: are the doctors feeling good about the fact that she gets the surgery, she'll be better?
Yeah, we did go visit. Because the doctor that we're seeing actually about a year and a half ago did surgery on her brother's back. That was from an injury he had at work, and he's incredible. Like he really did phenomenal on her brother, and he had said to her, where she was always told, hey, it's 50-50. He said, if we can get this surgery done, you'll be back to at least 80-90%, if not 100. So she can't stay on her feet long, to the point that her job now, she only is able to work 3-4 hours, and that's it.
Dude, I'm working at 30% most days. So
I know,
80-90% sounds pretty good.
Yeah. So and she never really wanted to put anything out there, because she's always like never want that attention. I didn't even tell her I was doing this. I just kind of did it, and I was like, we got to get that surgery for you.
Right.
So it'd be easier with health insurance. It wouldn't be no issue, but right now it's just, it's expensive kind of stuff.
This is something similar to what happened to me when I first got diagnosed 2 years ago. At the time, I didn't have health insurance, and that's why we did a fundraiser and everything. We did the beef and beer and whatever. So, yeah, I mean, it happens.
Oh yeah, and people are always so generous. It's amazing to know how good there are people still out there to help.
That is one thing I learned.
Yeah, and again,
there were a lot of good people out there.
Right. Whether it's just $1, that is a huge thing. Whether it's again, everyone's going through financial stuff, so it's just one of those deals. Thankful no matter what. So,
all right. So like I said, we'll post the link for the GoFundMe on our show notes, and awesome. We'll bring it up over the next few weeks, or on. So if we're not doing a show, we'll do it on social media and whatnot. So
okay,
we'll get it out there.
Perfect. All right.
All right. So last thing before we get into our topic of the day, this actually just hit the wire maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes before we went on air.
Yeah, you just informed me. I was like, what?
But apparently there's some breaking news here that is sort of related to, not related to tonight's topic necessarily, but related to things we have talked about many times in the past. So we've talked oftentimes about humans and not so much evolution, but basically the fact that mainstream science seems to have this idea stuck in their head that everything happened the way we learned it back in grade school 40 years ago, where with regard to nobody was living on the North American continent until the Bering Strait deflooded or whatever you want to call it, whatever the word is. And then the first inhabitants crossed over up in not Australia, Alaska, came down. They're talking about, maybe, 8,000 years ago. And that's even pushing it at the time. Like back when I was in school, they were talking maybe it was, 1,500 to 2,000 years ago.
Right. Not
that.
As long as you would think in a sense, But.
So tonight, and this has been the narrative for years and years and years. Well, tonight there's actually proof that these scientists are wrong. So apparently there is a set of footprints. It says fossil footprints show humans in North America more than 21,000 years ago.
Wow.
So the way this article reads, it's an article in NBC News. I'm sure it's in other places too, but the one I pulled up was in NBC News.
And it's NBC News too. I mean, this is like a whole big mainline.
So there were apparently these things called ghost tracks that were in White Sands National Park down in New Mexico for years. And this guy, David Bustos, who's the topic of the article, went down to see them around 2005. So what this is, it was a stone where when it got wet, which obviously isn't that often in New Mexico, but when it did, these white footprints would appear, but then they would disappear again when it dried up. So they were called ghost prints. And they were a rumor at first, and afterwards they actually got confirmed that they were there, but nobody really knew what they were, where they came from, how old they were. So the way this went down is it said the footprints at White Sands were dated by examining the seeds of an aquatic plant that once thrived along the shores of a dried-up lake, commonly known as ditchgrass. According to research in the journal Science, the ancient ditchgrass seeds were found in layers of hard earth both above and below many human footprints at the site.
Wow.
They were radiocarbon dated to determine the age. The tracks at one location have been revealed as both the earliest known footprints and the oldest firm evidence of humans anywhere in the Americas, showing that people lived there 21 to 23,000 years ago, several thousand years earlier than scientists once believed.
I would say.
And they're saying they actually have found that these fossilized prints are at a lower level. Yeah, on the screen, if you're watching the video, there's pictures of it. These footprints are on a lower level than mammoth prints. So these humans were here way before the woolly mammoth even developed and became an animal.
And when you
whatever.
think of woolly mammoths, and again, you think of woolly mammoths, you think of that being so long ago. So even before that, that's wow.
So this is some breaking news here, and again, we've been beating this drum, and a lot of people who have some common sense have been beating this drum for years, saying there's no possible way that humans have only been on in the Americas for 6 or 4 or 8,000 years.
It's not like it was a distant planet that nobody, and
so now you have proof.
That's cool.
And this isn't definitive proof of the age. This is just proving it goes back 21,000 years. If you read, and again, this is what is in mainstream media. So when I say that this is what is the latest information, what I mean by that is this is the latest information that has now been accepted by scientists and mainstream media. Because if you read an author named Graham Hancock, who writes a lot about ancient history, he has proven that it's actually way older than that. Like we're talking hundreds of thousands of years.
Well, sure, yeah.
But his work is looked at as pseudoscience because, again, nobody wants to believe what's right in front of their face.
Right, exactly, yeah.
So again, this is just a nugget or what do they call it? Throwing somebody a bone, I guess. The mainstream media kind of threw a bone to the scientists saying, okay, I guess now we believe 21,000 years. But the truth of the matter is it's not the final answer. It's a lot older than that.
Right. I mean, again, when you want to sit there and you want to try to think at the beginning of time, I mean, again, it's not like it was, humans or people were just, boom, they just appeared, out of nowhere and then made these, prints or whatnot. I mean, you're right. There's some kind of, I don't know, call it, I know there's a lot of debate, especially with religion, call it evolution, call it evolving, whatever the case is. But either way, you don't just go back 23,000 years, let's say, and boom, they just appeared and they're walking around.
Right.
So. Yeah, that's very interesting. And again, it's cool to see that, something like NBC is reporting on something like that, because these are, to know where we came from, what was before us.
It's kind of like the UFO thing, man.
Right.
The mainstream picks it up, and all of a sudden it becomes less funny and less of
exactly.
a joke.
Mm-hmm. Not like that when the incident where that politician was like, "Oh, we made contact." Had somebody dress up like the alien and stuff.
The Phoenix Lights.
And with Phoenix Lights, yeah, that's right. Yeah. So,
all right. So, getting to our topic tonight. Again, we're getting toward the Halloween season. We're now in late September
already.
So, we wanted to just kind of kick around, a little bit of roundtable here, and just talk a little bit about what scares people, because it's different with different people. It's different with different groups of people. It's different with if you're talking about movies or actual events happening and things like that.
Right.
So,
and there's a difference too. There's a difference between and a line between what literally scares you versus what is scary to you. If you kind of get what I'm saying. I mean,
yeah.
Versus some people are like, what terrifies you, like some people standing in front of a crowd, versus like, oh, that movie is scary.
Right.
So it's
the first thing I pulled up here is from 2016. It's a survey done by USA Today. Now, when we talk about what scares people, what I think of, just because it's me and I do this kind of a show and I have the mindset that I do, what I'm thinking of is like ghosts and Bigfoot and whatever.
Right.
But apparently this was put to people in a kind of a general sense, a survey of 1,511 people about nationwide concerns and fears. And what came out of this, the top 10 fears back in 2016, really had nothing to do with any of that stuff. Number 10, and this is kind of funny to me, was Obamacare. People were literally afraid of Obamacare.
So of all the things there are to be afraid of, in 2016,
Obamacare.
It was Obamacare.
Healthcare. We're afraid of healthcare.
All right.
It says so much about society.
That I'm telling you.
Next one was people I love becoming seriously ill, which I get.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Identity theft. Numbers, what is that?
I can see that being a fear, but not that high on the list.
Yeah, apparently it is.
I mean,
number 6 was economic or financial collapse.
Okay, which, kind of falls in line maybe with not so much identity theft, but
this survey was done about 7 or 8 years after that big financial recession back in 08 or 09.
Right, so it's kind of still fresh.
So people were still paranoid, yeah.
Right.
People I love dying, which I get.
Exactly, right.
Government restrictions on firearms. So don't take our guns. That's a fear.
Unbelievable.
Number 5, above people I love dying, by the way.
That's what I don't understand. So you mean to tell me you're more afraid of all these things here than you are of like someone close to you dying?
It's ridiculous.
That blows my mind.
Being a victim of terror, like a terror attack.
Okay.
Number 3 is not having enough money for the future.
I get that.
Number 2, which I don't know how this is different than number 4, but they have terrorist attacks.
Yeah, it's kind of the same.
Whatever. And the number 1 fear in 2016 was corruption of government officials. So again,
honestly, I am so shocked, because if you would have asked me before that, I would have maybe guessed that people, like, the biggest fear would just be death itself.
Yeah.
But that wasn't even on there.
Right.
You had government corruption, Obamacare, and all this stuff, and you don't even have death of yourself.
Yeah.
That you're afraid of.
Yeah.
I mean, wow.
I'm telling you.
That is freaking unbelievable.
Society is
more afraid of government. And again, that's because with these surveys, people don't stop and think. It's just like they think about something. I mean, at the time when they came across these surveys, these people were probably thinking of something they just seen on the news that day or earlier that day, whatever the case is.
Right.
And they had been thinking about it all day. So, of course, when someone asks them, what scares you? Boom. Oh, well, I heard this earlier. It's not truly what really scares you.
So jumping over to another article here. It's actually not an article. It's a quiz that's on it's online. It's on a thing called Quizly, I think it is.
Okay.
But I just thought this was interesting. It's 15 questions, and the first one says choose something common that scares you, and the answers that are possible are closed spaces.
Okay.
Claustrophobia.
I've been trained in firefighting, all that. That's not one for me. I'm used to that.
Mike, you sound like you'd be claustrophobic. Are you claustrophobic?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I kind of.
It's one of those things I never knew I was until I was in the situation.
and again, a situation you don't really know, right? Unless you're in it. How about you? Are you claustrophobic?
I can be. I've had MRIs done.
Okay. So it depends on the situation.
Well, but I close my eyes.
Okay.
And it freaks me out even with my eyes closed.
Oh, okay.
So
it becomes kind of psychological.
Like I don't
physical.
Yeah, like and that's extreme. Like if you've ever had an MRI, literally the machine is wrapped about an inch or two from your body.
Oh yeah, right.
But in like a small room, not really. I'm all right with that.
Right.
Flying is another one, which I get.
Yeah,
I've had a fear of flying forever. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've only flown twice in my entire life, even just recently, but it never really. Never really feared me.
My fear is like when I'm up there, I'm thinking to myself,
what if something fails?
Well, yeah, because you watch these. Like I remember being I was on a trip to Miami one time, and we were flying over Florida.
Right.
And the plane dropped in the way that like an elevator would drop. And
you actually like felt
you feel the bang.
Oh my God! Wow.
And the pilot comes on. He goes, "Nothing to worry." The pilot's there's nothing to worry about.
It's like his foot hit.
It's all good.
It's like his foot accidentally hit the.
He said we flew through the wake of another plane. I'm thinking, how the fuck close are you to the other plane?
I was going to say. So what does that mean? You played like chicken with it or something?
So then months later, I go on the trip, go home. Months later, I'm watching one of these shows, air disasters or whatever, and they're talking about this flight in, I think it was Denver back in the 80s,
right?
Where what they're describing is literally what happened to me, only instead of hitting and being stabilized, they dropped and the wingtip flipped.
God.
And they spiraled to their death. And I'm thinking, my God.
And when it comes to me, I think, I guess I just don't fully think about it. But see, my biggest thing is my fear if it would come to flying that if there was a disaster, I at least don't want to make it. Because my luck, I'd be the one freaking person out of everybody to make it and either be stranded somewhere in a desert or out in the middle of the ocean.
Hello.
Right. I'd be that one person,
Be talking to a volleyball.
I'd be like the documentaries you see and stuff. Yeah, exactly.
Needles.
Yeah, no, I never.
I don't like watching needles.
That's
go
true.
in.
I won't
watch it.
But see, I have tattoos.
Yeah.
So I watched that.
Laura says she burst into tears on takeoff. Yeah, it's disturbing. I was on a flight once where a woman next to me was sitting there like doing the what do they call that? Not the rosary, where they cross themselves.
Oh yeah, that just makes it. If you're afraid,
I'm like, really?
When you see somebody doing that, that just kind of adds to that. Just torment.
Yeah.
Right.
Heights. I hate heights.
Really? Yeah. Again, a lot of that, like I've been trained firefighter. I've been in them situations, so that heights have never really.
And germs is the next one, which these days,
to an extent, yeah. To an extent, yeah, because like. I guess maybe I'm more afraid of germs than I think, because if I go into like a public restroom where there's like a urinal, like I just like sit there and imagine as I'm peeing, this is.
I missed the first part of that.
In a public bathroom, like at a urinal.
Okay.
I do like. I guess I'm more afraid than I thought. All I can think about is like, are a bunch of other people's pee particles coming onto my clothes, and so I guess I'm more afraid of germs than I do, because I do. I will sit there and think like I'm stepping on the floor. Yeah, you have to hold my hand.
I had no idea where he was going with that.
So maybe I am a little bit more afraid of germs than I think.
So the next question on here says choose something uncommon that scares you, and the answers for this, or the options for this, are falling asleep. Is one.
I can do that very easily. That's not scary for me.
I hear it. I see that, and I get it. Because I have known, unfortunately, people in my life that they died in their sleep. I had a guy I used to play baseball with years ago, maybe 10 or 12 years ago.
Right.
He was 30-something years old at the time. And he went to sleep and he died in his sleep. He had like a brain aneurysm or something.
Now, see, that's the thing. Like, if it was falling asleep while doing something like driving or something, that could be, but just falling asleep itself, I mean, it's...
Yeah, so I get the fear, I guess.
Right, but still, it's something that you have to do to live. So.
This is one that you always hear about every month, and especially every Friday, the 13th, November 13.
Oh, yeah, there are people that won't go out.
The 13th,
those days,
13th floor is not on hotels.
Yeah, they don't have the... Yep.
Yeah. This one's kind of bizarre. Trees.
Trees?
Trees.
Well, like they're going to fall on you or something?
Fall on you, or maybe they're going to reach out and grab you.
Start talking
like
to you?
Seymour. The
hello, I'm Mr. Tree. I have a Woody.
Rain.
Rain? Maybe like in fear that it would be acid rain or something?
Maybe.
Okay. Unless you haven't had a shower.
Dave says someone threatened to push me off a short cliff when I was a kid, and I think that would do it for me too.
I
Dave.
mean, yeah, because the younger you are, that can really psychologically affect you. You know what I mean?
Somebody
like
pushed me off a short cliff, or he threatened to.
I'm
out. Last one is your belly button.
Like what? You're going to get sucked back in or something?
Look,
your belly button.
I didn't make up this quiz.
I can't really even think of an example why. So each his own.
Next question says pick an animal that scares you. The option.
I know this one.
The options are gorilla.
Nah.
I mean, how
just
often
don't get close to it.
How often do you come across a gorilla?
Right.
Toad.
Again.
Maybe the warts.
Yeah, I mean we don't really have poisonous frogs.
Maybe you're afraid you're going to rub on it and it's going to turn into a prince.
Yeah, that's. I don't know.
Bats.
Again,
they kind of freak me out a little bit.
I mean, I can see why, yeah, because, I mean, but see,
they're like night birds. They just...
Right. You know, and I don't have long enough hair for them to get stuck in my hair, so it's kind of like whatever.
Piranha.
They're not even around to know. Like,
I mean...
If they were something regular, maybe, but...
And sharks. People are terrified of sharks.
They are, and I wouldn't.
There's an entire week dedicated to that on TV because people are afraid.
Right, and I wouldn't want to come across the shark out in the middle of nowhere. But I can't believe what my fear is not are freaking snakes.
Oh yeah, you and my wife, yeah. Both.
I'll tell you right now, I don't mind insects. I don't mind all that snakes. I just must have died in a past life or something. I just don't know why. I've never had a bad experience. I can't stand snakes.
Then don't look behind you.
Don't even tell me that, because I'm... Good night, everyone.
All right. So, pick an insect that you are afraid of. Cockroach.
That I will say, because...
Cockroach.
You can get cockroaches even if you're not dirty. Like, remember the paper bags?
Puffins. Dave's afraid of puffins.
Well, I was going to... Oh, nice. Yeah. But no, you know how, like... I've heard people getting cockroaches just, like, bringing them home from, like, a freaking grocery store. You know what I mean? Like, you don't even intend. And once you have one, like, you're done. So I can see that. Yeah.
Wasps.
Yeah, when I was younger, I was terrified. Yeah, like, if I seen one flying, don't get near
I hate those little fuckers. Yeah. Laura's afraid of hyenas? Have you come across hyenas,
hyena.
Laura? How often have you come across a hyena?
Maybe that's Mike's nickname. I'm terrified.
Is that what she calls it, Mike? The hyena?
I'm afraid of that hyena.
Moths.
Moths?
Like the man, like big moth.
Maybe Mothman. Yeah, okay, yeah.
Centipedes. They're a little creepy.
Yeah, they are creepy. I mean...
And stink bugs.
They just don't smush them or don't get near them. Yeah.
I eat those.
You hate stink bugs?
I mean, hey. I don't know.
All right, so this is getting more into our wheelhouse here. Which horror movie can't you watch? First one is Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Any of them.
Yeah.
When I was younger,
younger, yeah.
Yeah, like that movie kind of freaked me out when I was younger. I think it's a good movie now.
Right. See, and horror movies that could actually be realistic, like someone could really be doing it, they do freak me out the most. So
The Exorcist.
I watched that when I was younger, and I will say I started watching it when I was alone. Like, I was probably like 12, and I stopped. So I will say when I was younger, I was freaking terrified. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I had to watch it with someone else. So
Dave's making jokes.
Lost. We're Sid Cass. Ha! Okay.
The Exorcist, when that came out...
a lot of people were like...
This was, like, you have to understand, like, the movies like Psycho... Psycho seems like... nothing these days.
Right.
But the shower scene in Psycho, the reason why that's such a famous scene is because that was so jarring to people.
Right.
Back
Because
then.
it could really happen.
Well, it could happen, but people hadn't seen, like on movies in
Right.
video, like that hadn't ever been shown on screen before. Not in the way that it was shown in that movie.
Sure, right.
And it really freaked people out.
Right.
And The Exorcist,
that put a whole lot. I mean, when you have something like on a religious kind of thing, and people get that in their mind, like, oh my God, could this happen? I mean, that's one of the most terrifying movies.
Yeah,
ever.
Laura's saying Exorcist and Paranormal Activity is another good one, a recent one.
I was gonna say, with me doing the whole ghost hunting thing, Paranormal Activity, I can see why, but
The Exorcist, I remember my mom telling me when she went to see it, her and my dad went to see it back when it first opened,
right.
and she was probably 5 at the time or something like that. She said she didn't sleep for a week.
Right.
Like she was parent. Like, and if you watch, there are documentaries that are done on that movie where they have video footage of the audiences.
Probably people like in tears.
And people were literally
the
ambulances were coming in. Like you had to literally have a nurse in the lobby,
right?
Because people were coming out vomiting and passing out over that movie.
Right, and think about what you said with Psycho. You know, back in those days, you know, they really did amazing, like, graphic type things on that show that you just did not see. I mean, you have a little girl whose head is completely twisting, and it's supposed to be the devil. I mean, it is. I mean, definitely, I would have to say that's got to be in history one of the most terrifying movies.
The Shining is another good one.
Yeah, there's a couple people.
Taryn's terrified of The Shining.
Really? I've heard of people being afraid of The Shining, yeah.
And The Ring. That kind of freaked me out a little bit.
It was, yeah. I can see that one, too. Yeah, that was a pretty good one.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's move on here to which movie villain scares you? First one is Freddy Krueger.
I mean, if I was having dreams and that happened, yeah, I could see.
Well, right, and again, back in the mid '80s, early '80s, when that movie came out, it was a totally new concept,
a whole new thing, right?
And if you think about it, like, you are no more vulnerable in life than when you were asleep,
right?
So if there's any possible reality to this, then you're fucked.
Because you don't know, you can't control what your thoughts are, what's going to happen once you fall asleep. Can't control your dreams.
You know, that was actually based on a real story.
Really?
I think we talked about this one time years ago. There was a group of, I believe they were, I want to say either Chinese, somewhere in the Far East, of immigrants that had come over. And they used to come, you know, they would come over in, like, they'd be smuggled into the country in cartons.
Yeah.
Not cartons, but you know what I'm saying? Like these big tankers.
I know what you mean. Yeah, right.
So this group of immigrants, I think there was 15 or 20 of them, had been in this carton or whatever the hell it was. And they died. And they were all laying asleep, and no one to this day knows how they died.
It's just they just kind of died
because when they did,
sense, you know?
Right, when they did autopsies on them, it wasn't like heat exhaust, like they didn't die of heat stroke or extreme cold or malnutrition or anything like that. Like, they were healthy, but they just dead. But they died in their sleep, all of them. So that movie was based very, very loosely, obviously, on the idea that could, you know, something got them in their sleep, you know?
I mean, you know, and again, some people, they feel or they think that dreams, when you have a dream, you're just visiting an alternative dimension or whatnot. So, again, could it physically affect us? That's insane.
Leatherface from
Texas Chainsaw. Right.
That's, you know, the crazy person. Yeah.
Right. Because, again, you could really have, and wasn't Texas Chainsaw? No, that wasn't based on a true. Wasn't that based on real accounts?
I think
there was a Leatherface.
I think it was, yeah.
Not that exact storyline, but there was.
Well, there a lot of movies and stories have been based on a guy named Ed Gein that was a cannibal killer up in, I think it was Milwaukee or somewhere near there, or Minnesota, something like that, back in the 50s.
I got you.
Where he basically killed people and made, like, furniture out of them.
Yeah, kind of like, you know, some Hannibal type stuff.
Hannibal Lecter shit.
Right.
In fact, Hannibal Lecter was one of the ones based on him.
Right, I got you.
And Hannibal Lecter is one of the choices on here.
Yeah, I will say Hannibal Lecter, he's one of my favorites, and he is because of the intelligence. The smarter people are usually the crazier ones, so they know how to get away with it.
And Pennywise the Clown.
There are people like terrified of clowns. I know all kinds of people terrified of clowns, so I could see that.
Yeah. So let's see. I guess this is just a general question. Which of these do you fear the most? Water. I assume they mean like
Drowning or something?
Yeah,
maybe?
like large bodies of water, the ocean.
Okay, because I was going to say we need that to live.
Yeah. Blood.
Okay. I mean, again,
Yes,
if you
yes,
see
Jenna, it's
blood...
Thursday. Jenna just realized it was Thursday. She's so wrapped up in Britney Spears' life that she doesn't realize what day it is.
It's Britney's day.
Yeah.
Anyway. But yeah, I mean, I could see blood if people don't like to see, you know.
Holes. Like, I guess,
Holes?
falling into a hole.
Yeah, I guess.
Crowds.
Which, that I can say. If I'm in a, like, large crowd situation, unless I'm distracted, like, I'm okay at concerts and stuff, but, like, if I'm just tight in an unexpected crowd, it does kind of give me anxiety.
Can I just jump in real fast?
No, go ahead.
For the one that, talking about holes, I'm trying to find a picture of this. There were these doctored photos that were meant to pull fear out of people, because it's something deep within us that we have a fear of holes in skin. Let me see if I can find a picture of this. But they were posting these pictures. Oh my God, yeah, it's freaking me out right now. But yeah, so they were doing these holes in people's skin. I'm trying to find a good one.
Like
this one's
acupuncture, but bigger?
No. So this is a very, very, it's a very doctored one. So it'll work for just showing here.
Okay.
But so something like this.
Oh God.
So that is holes in your skin like that.
Looks like a honeybee.
Is supposed
or
to
like
really
a
give
hive.
you. It gives you the creepy crawlies, and people were making high quality photo edits, like Photoshop of these that looked super realistic, and they were putting them online. And it really draws out something in you that gives you the creepy crawlies all over your skin.
So now I'm afraid of holes.
That's what I'm gonna say. Like, I mean,
as soon as you said that about holes, right away that's what I thought of, and right away I was like, okay, that's what I remember seeing on certain people's posts online, going, okay, that's creepy.
That's again, it looked like a beehive on the side of someone's face.
Yeah.
I mean, God, yeah, I can see why now.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
So, I'm glad I could share that with you to give you something
now
else to
I
be
will
scared
be
of.
afraid of falling asleep tonight because I'm going to think of that.
Thanks, Jenna.
Yeah,
I'm not afraid of holes.
So
she put hashtag Laura's. Yeah, Laura's pregnant. All right.
Wow. That was I'll give you points for that. That was good. Let's see. The fear. Which real life situation do you fear? Being alone.
Yeah, I mean,
Either for a short time, or I guess in general.
like relationship wise, or just
like,
being alone, like no one else is around in the world.
It could be either.
Kinda.
It could
True.
be either.
True. Yeah.
Some people are afraid to literally be alone in a room.
Right.
I remember. I don't know if this is a choice. Well, we already passed the animals, but I remember watching a show years ago where a woman was afraid of birds, and to get her
They
over
have horror movies like that.
to
though,
get to get her over the fear that this psychologist put her into a room with this like bird, like a stuffed bird.
Okay.
And this woman was acting like this thing was like some demon from hell.
I was going to say
She was literally screaming and crawling under the couch.
Well, you see these.
Hysterical.
They have had these talk shows where they've had people confront their fear with stuff like it's supposed to help, but if you ask me, it just does worse.
Next one is failure. Fear of failure.
I can see that. I mean,
Hey, Mel. Welcome to the show.
Oh, okay.
Hope you're feeling okay. We talked about you a little earlier.
I told her, and she said thank you so much, and she loves you and all that stuff. So
Hope you're feeling well. Get well soon. Get back in here, and we'll give you a free topic to talk about.
yeah, there you
talk
go.
about whatever you want to talk about. Where are we here?
You were talking about the birds, or
Death is the next one.
That's one that I am just shocked isn't on top. I mean, I've always thought death was the biggest fear. That and talking in front of people, because I've heard they say
That is another one.
Right. That I've heard people actually would rather die than talk in front of
Public
a crowd.
speaking.
Yeah, I have heard that.
I'm not afraid of death. I'm afraid of the concept of not existing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I can see what you're
the
saying.
concept of not existing, of not
It's kind of narcissistic.
Forever.
Yeah.
Is it?
It is.
All right, I'm a
I can see
narcissist.
that.
You're not afraid of death, but you're afraid of there not being a mic.
Yeah,
Right.
pretty much.
So, but you being the skeptic you
Like I said, I
are-
want my kid to be just like me.
That's what I'm saying. But yeah, you being the skeptic you are, having that thought, you would think like, okay, well, maybe there is this, I'll be roaming around even after death in some kind of
Oh
non-physical
no!
form.
That because I'm a skeptic, that's why I'm like, no, death is boom.
You're just ass
lights
backward.
out.
You're
done.
ass backwards.
That's where a skeptic goes because everybody wants to try and figure out what happens after you die.
Right.
My whole thing is, it's the same as before you were born,
Yeah.
non-existing. So that's what freaks me out more than death.
Right, and I can understand it. And just for the record, with doing the ghost hunting, it's not trying to find an answer to. I'm not trying to find an answer to death.
Right.
Just which I have gotten at where people have said it's like, well, why are you trying to figure out what happens when we die? Do you think you're going to find an answer? That's not what we're doing.
Right.
Anyway.
Right.
Not saying that's what you were saying, but
So I just want to exist forever. That's what I was trying to
hey,
get
you might as well drink that potion they have out Amazon.
The potion in Amazon.
Yeah, and go to Amazon.
They
You
have
can buy. What I'm saying is, you can get anything on Amazon. So I'm sure they have some potion
All
that
right.
you can buy to live forever.
Yeah. Most of the rest of these are pictures, and I can't, obviously describe the picture well enough to have this translate to radio. But
It would have been great if you would have been able to send it to somebody that could show it to everybody that's watching live.
yeah,
I'm kidding.
The reason I didn't was because I literally just came across this. This is how this show happens sometimes.
It is.
It's
it
very
is.
organic.
Right. Everybody's like, they plan this shit
Yeah.
like days in advance. No.
Literally, as I was talking earlier, I'm like, oh, this looks cool.
Yeah, hey,
Let's do this.
that's how you get the best stuff sometimes.
Yeah. So yeah, just in general, let's see. Jen's worried about people she'll leave behind. We'll be fine, Jen. We're good. Brittany will be fine.
Freaking
That's really what she worries about.
right, yeah.
So anyway, so that's a few things that you could be scared of.
Yeah. I
so-
just can't believe some of that on the list, but hey, to each his own, as said.
So getting back to the Halloween theme specifically, and I guess Doug's done ghost hunting for years.
Mm-hmm.
And when you talk to clients,
Right.
After you do a ghost hunt and you come up with evidence, and if you do come up with evidence that there is some kind of a entity there, a manifestation, something you can't explain,
Mm-hmm.
What is the most common reaction?
Honestly, it sounds crazy, but prior to the investigation, when people are saying how they experience all this just incredible stuff, after an investigation, if we find evidence, usually it's that clarification that what's there 9 times out of 10 is not anything malicious. They're just there. Believe it or not, most of the time it's like, oh, okay, well, we're okay with that.
We're good.
I mean,
Us and the
it
ghost will
really
be
is,
fine.
and that's honestly, I mean, every so often, obviously, we have I have had the clients, that have, wanted it taken care of, so that way, be gone, cleanse it all, help. But believe it or not, majority of the time, it's just wanting that clarification that it's not going to do any harm, it's not going to affect, their lives somehow or whatever. So it's kind of more percentage of being okay with it as long as it's not malicious.
They're
versus-
assuming a lot.
Well, and that's it. I mean,
Like-
because that's what I try to express. Like, we're just taking an investigation, what we captured, and basing your claims and giving you what we find, and just trying to give you an educated guess on things, like just because
Right.
we found that one thing, which is why I like to do follow-ups also. But again, it's a lot of times they're just like okay with it. And again, a lot of times when you hear people's claims, I've learned over the years that you have to take those claims and kind of downgrade it a little bit, because I feel like they want to make, some people want to make, I don't want to say everyone, but some people want to make it sound so incredible because they're just afraid of me not believing them.
Mm-hmm.
They want to just make it sound like, oh my gosh, this is like horror movie stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when, and again, it puts that in their mind that it's that bad
Right.
when it's really not. So a lot of times it's, again, people are, they seem to be okay with it most of the time.
Interesting.
So.
Interesting.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those things where and people that go out and do these investigations and these documentaries where they try to track down Bigfoot in the middle of the wilderness and things like that. Like,
but then they act terrified when they see it.
yeah, well, I mean, sometimes,
In a sense, yeah.
But I mean, what I'm getting at is that takes some balls.
Well, yeah.
Because, you don't know what's there and what's not there. I mean, forget about the fact that you might be eaten by a freaking cougar or a bobcat or something.
Right.
I mean, that's a reality. Or a bear.
There are things out there that will kill you.
But aside from, nature, if this thing is real and you're literally walking into its front living room, so to speak, and knocking on the door saying, "Hey, we're here." Like,
you don't have the right, just like they,
that's kind of ballsy.
And like, I'll actually give you an example. Earlier today, we were watching this one of those Travel Channel shows, Unexplained, caught on camera, and one of the things they talked about was this guy. He was a YouTuber. Skeptical, which I always say this, like, yes, okay, if you're skeptical, fine, but whether you believe it or not, like, still, you don't have enough proof saying that it can't happen.
Right.
This guy, again, he bought a divot box on eBay, had a warning and everything saying, don't, be careful, don't open it. If you're just add it to your collection. It's a serious thing.
So a divot box, wants to know, it's basically a box, a curio cabinet. It's in the Jewish tradition, divot is a ghost.
Right.
So generally the divot,
a very like a demonic of the time
ghost.
Entity, or
demonic entity.
Right.
That and a divot box is one of these curio boxes that with a ghost inside that literally comes with the box.
Normally, yeah, like they'll trap what they say
They're
is
attached to the box.
They trapped this entity in a crystal, put the crystal in it, and then there's candle wax that melts over and it's sealed. Well, this guy gets this divot box in the mail, talks about actually has an EMF detector, goes around, it goes off around it, even has a spirit box where it goes through the FM AM frequencies. Actually says, is there someone in there? And gets a voice out of nowhere saying, "Yes, you should help me." Like clear as day. And he's showing all this anyway. So he's like freaked out. So what he does is he takes a knife and he unseals the wax and opens it up, which all of a sudden the EMF detector stops. He says it starts stinking. All of a sudden, all this stuff on his walls, it starts falling. He bolts it. He goes to his brother's house for the night because he got scared because all this weird shit suddenly just started happening. Comes back the next day. His apartment smells like rotting, which that's what they say when there's a demonic presence and everything. And just from that point forward was having like this terrible kind of haunting going on, to the fact he woke up one morning, his dog was going crazy overnight. Woke up the next morning and his dog had like swollen eyes and stuff, where a lot of stuff went downhill for him after he did it. So again, if you're skeptical, even if you don't believe it, just a lot of people do that and they mess with it.
Buyer beware.
Shit happens, So, hey, if you want to take that chance,
caveat emptor.
Just because you don't believe it doesn't mean it can't possibly exist.
Buyer beware.
So,
all right, so we're going to wrap things up for the evening.
Yeah.
But before we go, I want to tell you guys to look us up on some social medias. We are on Facebook. Just look up Paradelphia on Facebook. We are on Twitter at Paradelphia. And don't forget our parent company here, our father station, if you will. Like that joke, Mike? Father station. He's not paying attention.
Anyway,
at Toxic Radio Live on Twitter, and they're also on the Facebooks and the Instagrams and all that good stuff under Toxic Radio. Doug, you had a couple things.
Actually, yeah, two things. Last year wasn't much events going on because of COVID, but this year a lot of the events that we take part of is coming back. First, October 2nd. Which is actually next Saturday, the Mullica Hill Ghost Walk that we take part in. This will be our 6th year, right? 6th or 7th year. We'll be taking part of on Mullica Hill, Harrison Township, here in New Jersey. Tickets, if you go to harrisontownship.org, is where you can get tickets. I think they're only either $5 or $10 a piece. But Ghost Walk, it's a great time. We'll be setting up at Old Town Hall where we're done. We have cameras set up, all of that stuff. And the next thing is October 16th. It's the Salem City Ghost Walk, which I've done the past couple of years, where I set up in front of a place called Johnson Hall. and talk about it. We've done 3 investigations there. Almost got it on TV, but that's another story. But yeah, so this October's the events that, we've kind of taken part of. They're coming back, but, you could check it out on our Jersey Unique Minds Paranormal Society Facebook, all that stuff. So
Doug just sits on the steps of the city hall and flashes people, and
one night,
that's fearful enough. That's scary enough.
As I walked through the halls, Mike appeared.
All right, so with that, we're going to wrap things up for the evening. So I want to thank you guys for joining us.
As always.
And if you are on Facebook or Twitter or anywhere else watching us,
all that social media, y'all are so part of so many social medias now. Just check it out. We might be there.
Y'all come back again sometime. All right, we're Paradelphia. We are out of here.
Good night.